Hello, everybody. Welcome to Take the Black Live, the one and only show on the internet. We talk about things like Game of Thrones, The Last Kingdom, Star Wars, Netflix, Amazon, fantasy, sci-fi, books, TV, movies, all these kind of things. I am Dan Selcke, the editor of winterscoming.net, and who am I here with in the upper right-hand corner?
I can't see. I think you're talking to me.
Yeah.
Mia Johnson again, entertainment editor over at fansided.com.
And then we have a special guest.
Yeah, Corey Smith. I'm also a contributor over at Wick. So
you are a valued contributor, maybe the most valued contributor. We wanted to have you on. I'll keep saying it. And we wanted to have you on, Corey, because you are kind of the Wick's resident Last Kingdom expert. The Last Kingdom show on Netflix about the kind of Viking invasion of England in, what, the 9th, 8th, 7th century, somewhere around there?
9th century, yeah.
9th century, cool. And really popular show, really passionate show, and we don't really... I started to watch it. I am watching it now. But because you're so invested in it, I just wanted to get your thoughts. Now that, like, a week has passed since the 4th season dropped, did this live up to the other seasons of the show that you've watched?
Yeah, I think so. I think overall, probably season 3 still might be my favorite.
Sure.
But it was by no means a bad season. It was a great season. It was a lot of fun. I blew through it in about 3 days, which is kind of a big accomplishment for me with 2 small kids in the house.
That's true. That's impressive.
Yeah, so it was good. I enjoyed it. It definitely had I think it had a little bit of a different feel than some of the past seasons. But I quite enjoyed it, and looking forward to hopefully getting a season 5 announcement pretty soon.
How was it different from the past seasons, do you think? As Michael says, it's good.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the first maybe three or 4 episodes kind of have a little bit more of a frenetic pace than some of the seasons past. The show in the past does a really good job of cramming a lot into the episodes without feeling like you're rushing through things. Because each season covers 2 of Bernard Cornwell's Saxon storybooks. So if you think about 2 books going into 1 season of television, that's generally going to be a lot of stuff going on. And usually it doesn't feel necessarily like a kind of fast pace, but the first part of this season kind of felt that way for me. And maybe it was just, like I said, I burned through it so quickly. So maybe it was just how fast I watched it. But I do feel like there's a big battle in episode 4 or 5. And after that, I felt like it kind of slowed down, and we kind of got back to the pace that some of the other seasons had. So
very cool. Yeah, I hear nothing but good things about it. Mia, are you interested in this at all? I know that you haven't watched it yet, and neither have I.
It sounds pretty interesting. You know what? Kind of I don't know, there's been some things where, like, now the historical battles and stuff, I know it's not like it's history and then it's not history, has been kind of interesting to me. Kind of like with that Assassin's Creed game, like it's supposed to take back in like Viking times. So, that stuff is like oddly starting to sound like kind of interesting to me. Maybe it's this, the podcast or these shows that are getting to me.
I'm gonna guess that The Last Kingdom is a lot more historically accurate than his Assassin's Creed. I'm gonna guess. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
A little bit.
We can check on that.
We're gonna have to do some research.
Mr. Corey, like, any big points stand out for you? Like, a lot, I'm impressed that it's like 2 books, because like usually a lot of these shows, they're like, we're just going to do like half a book, or we're going to stretch it out. And
and I mean, Cornwell's novels, to be fair, are not, they're not massive. Yeah, they're not massive tomes. So, they're not like the same size as a Song of Ice and Fire or Wheel of Time or anything like that. But still, yeah, it is impressive that they can put 2 books into 1 season of a television show, regardless of how small they are. But early on in the season, Uhtred finally goes back, and this is we're going into heavy spoiler territory, so turn back now. He finally returns to his ancestral home.
I will say, we have some commenters who are saying, I'm going to watch it. It's good, but not all of them. So I was doing his best.
We'll keep away from the major spoilers, but
Debbie loved the few episodes that I've seen. Last game season, we'll definitely go back to it.
Cool. Okay, yeah, cool. And well, Uhtred finally returns to his homeland and tries to take back his home, and things don't necessarily go as he planned. Mm-hmm. And it's a fun first, kind of couple of, I think it's the first 3 episodes of the season.
Yeah, it's early.
So it's a good opening, and then they start focusing really on a lot of the relationships that some of the characters have, and some of the new, this is a season where a lot of the kind of established characters left in season 3, and things are heading in a lot of new directions in season 4. So there's a lot of new stuff going on, not a lot of new characters being introduced, a lot of new relationships being formed, and then even older relationships that are evolving just because of the different political structure that they've got going on this season.
I will say this. I know a lot of characters died. I'm not going to name them.
Yeah, but I was like, can we talk about the deaths? Or
are you the kind of viewer who gets emotionally involved when that happens? Like when insert name here dies, are you like a no? Or take it in stride? I don't imagine you are. I would guess that you're a little more laid back about it.
I'm a little more laid back about it, and also, one of the things that, if I'm nitpicking on Cornwell's novels, and I love the books, and I love all he's got lots of different series going on.
He's great. I think
he's a fantastic writer. But if I have to nitpick one thing in his novels, are that a lot of the main characters in the Saxon stories kind of just work out of the storyline, and then we learn that they died later on, basically of old age, or I think one of the guys said he got really fat and had some health problems and he died. And so, and these are major important characters to the storyline and to Uhtred. And so the show, those deaths are right, on the screen. So
cool. That's good.
Nothing happens off screen. Nothing is, kind of a toss away mention. You see all the deaths here. So cool. I do like that about the show. There's one particular death, and anybody who's watched the season, there's in that battle I was referencing, there's one particular death that happens so quickly. And it's not necessarily a major character, but it is a character that's been in the series since season 2. It's someone I've spoken to for an interview for Wick. And, they're there, and then their head is gone, and that's that. And so it's kind of, there's a couple of that where you're just like, we could have given a little more, a little more to that person. But, it is what it is. It is, medieval battles, so they're not always going to have, long drawn out duels. So
really quick, Jen says, "Gosh, he's hot." I assume referring to Uhtred of Bebbanburg.
Uhtred, Alexander Draymond is a very beautiful man. Yes, and from everything I hear, he's also a very nice man and a very great actor. And all his castmates hate him for that. But Uhtred, it doesn't change that he carries a lot of the action.
Show it sounds like he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he develop in a way that you were pleased with? Like when you have a show that's around one character, I don't know. Is he growing all the time, or kind of stagnant throughout?
No, he definitely, especially in the first. It's funny because in the first 3 seasons, he, when he starts out, he's just a swole boy. I don't know if y'all know that term, but just a bro.
We can pick it up from context.
And and he just rushes headlong into everything, and he doesn't really learn a whole lot. But as season 1, 2, and 3, he starts to learn, and he starts to grow and accept leadership and things like that. And then at the beginning of this season, he kind of reverts back to that at the very beginning, and it really comes back to bite him in the ass. And so he kind of loses his way for a little bit in the middle of the season because he realizes his mistakes. So and it really affects him. So it was kind of, and his friends have to kind of bring him back from kind of just drifting off because they're, one of them perishes. We won't say who, and it really, really affects him. So
you mentioned that there are talks of like season 5 coming, right? Perhaps.
Yes. Yeah. So
okay.
if I remember right, after season 3 was released, it was about a week or maybe about 10 days after season 3 was released that they, Draymond did a little video with a couple of the other cast members, and they just announced that there'd be a season 4. So, we're kind of looking, we're right about that point, right now. So, assuming they keep the same schedule, they could push it out or
sure.
Obviously with everything else going on that year. So, but I'm looking for
it. Yeah. So then where does the show kind of leave you off? Where does it stand as far as like, okay, here's what could happen potentially in season 5? And of course, without giving away too much.
Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of funny. Like, when I was watching the final episode and, I have this thing when I'm watching a final episode and you start looking at how many minutes are left, in the season.
Yeah, I've done that.
Kind of like, okay, we got 10 minutes left.
Are they really going to wrap it up?
Yeah, like how are they they've got this, and this. And so as I was watching, I was like, man, they've got a lot to wrap up, and they actually didn't. They left a lot of things in kind of some cliffhangers. They had one major character that was on their deathbed, and they don't let us know which way that's leaning. And they have another major character and a couple of them actually that head off in a whole new direction, like a different part of the country. And so, they didn't really necessarily wrap up a whole lot of it. They left a lot of it open-ended. So, I'm not sure. I guess that's fun because you get to wonder, because they have been a little more concrete in seasons past. So hopefully we get a season 5 announcement pretty soon.
It feels like, I said it before, that this show feels like a show that could be like a banner show for Netflix if it found the exact right audience where that like a Stranger Things has. And it hasn't quite gotten there, but it feels like it's always been successful. I'd be shocked if they didn't renew it. Maybe the only holdback right now is because of all the COVID stuff. We're not going to say we're going to renew it because we couldn't start shooting anyway. So
right, yeah, I think that is, if anything, that would be my guess as well. That if they're waiting on an announcement, they're just, there's not a whole lot that's being announced right now. Nobody's announcing, hey, we're making this, stuff that was already in production, sure, but new seasons of shows are not really being announced right now. So. Because nobody knows when it's going to end, and when we can all ease back and
they
stuff
did
like
renew
that.
Westworld somehow.
They did renew Westworld. Yeah, so they some people are, some people aren't. But I think that if anything, that's probably what would be the holdup if it was my guess.
Yeah, but I would bet good money that we'll see more of it, and
I would too. I think that they have a fairly passionate audience right now. I think it's number one among fans on IMDb. It's stayed inside the Netflix top 10 since it debuted, which, a lot of shows will peak and then, they drop right back out, especially because Netflix is continually, releasing stuff almost every other day. So it's kind of hard it's hard to stay in that top 10 there. So, I think it is done really well. So I would, if I were putting money down, I would guess that it gets renewed.
As Henrique says, they need to publicize it more. Because when Stranger Things came out, I remember they had advertising deals up the wazoo, Stranger Things Burger King, Stranger Things Theater, Stranger Things Popcorn. I can't really remember seeing much of that for any other Netflix show.
Yeah, and Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, Netflix is a little strange about that. I mean, they do, it seems like there's a few shows that they really rally behind. And then there's a lot of them that, even though they might be really popular, just that kind of get lost in the mix as far as that goes. So I'm not sure, what's up with that. I know we're doing our best to publicize it. And I've got a slew of interviews scheduled with the cast for later this week and even into next week. So, I mean, we're not stopping anytime soon as far as that goes. So,
together we will move mountains.
Yes.
On Netflix. Corey, is there anything else you want to say about The Last Kingdom or life in general before we move on out?
No, I mean, definitely go check it out. Especially, we're all locked in the house. If you're looking for a new show, the first 2 seasons are 8 episodes. The last 2 have been 10. So, you're only looking at, I don't know, what's that, 36 episodes to get all the way caught up. And like I said, they move at a pretty good clip. So, it's a fun, enjoyable show. There's obviously a little bit of, learning curve initially, but all shows have that. So definitely would recommend it.
Cool. I love it, Corey. Thank you so much for dropping by. Come by anytime. Yeah. You are very knowledgeable in the ways of these things. And I'll talk to you some more.
All right. Take it easy,
Thanks.
guys.
Bye, Corey. All right. We're getting some good comments. We got Bonnie says that kids watch Stranger Things, which just makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Like you wouldn't.
Kids want Stranger Things. Yeah.
like you wouldn't have a Coca-Cola partnership with The Last Kingdom because who's gonna. Then again, Game of Thrones had. Remember that? Remember Game of Thrones had Bud Light. I guess that's something that kids would not want to.
Yeah.
There are opportunities. All I'm saying, there are opportunities.
Opportunities to sell brand merch. There's a whole every time I go to Target and they've got that little pop section. They've got all this Stranger Things toys and mugs and cups and shirts. So it sells.
That is their money maker. And another money maker, Disney. That didn't quite work. Disney had announced a bunch of new Star Wars stuff. Let's go with that. The other day was Star Wars Day, Star Wars Celebration, May the 4th. Get it? May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th, yes.
Okay. I have some thoughts on it, but okay. So I just thought we'd quickly run through kind of some of the big announcements that came out because, as always, as we've always said, there's always Star Wars stuff coming out. Disney is just, even in the midst of COVID, they're still announcing new stuff. For example, they announced, Disney, that Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, the Oscar-nominated writer of Jojo Rabbit, maker of Thor Love and Thunder, is going to direct a new Star Wars movie. Your favorite, Mia.
Oh, yes. Yeah, wow, what a winning combo for me. I really was not expecting that. I don't even know if there were rumors of him directing a Star Wars movie, but I've kind of always pictured it recently as Marvel and Star Wars love Jon Favreau, and now they love Taika Waititi. So I was I feel like it's only natural. Because he.
Yes,
oh no!
Sorry.
No, I want you to finish that sentence.
I was going to say until they step out of line, and then they're gone. Because at this point, the director churn on Star Wars is kind of famous. We just just earlier today, we're talking about Josh Trank, who was going to direct a Boba Fett movie. He was canned or quit before he could be canned. Colin Trevorrow for the third Star Wars movie, David Benioff and Dan Weiss. There was the guy who something involving reshoots. I'm betting Rian Johnson. So they have an issue with kind of bringing on folk and then letting them go. Somehow I don't think Waititi. I doubt that Waititi is going to suffer that. But I'm just saying, be careful, Taika Waititi.
I know. Well, he did. I feel like he kind of passed, hopefully, the test because he directed the finale of The Mandalorian, the final episode. And, he was IG-11. He acted as that, the skinny droid thing. So I think that he at least passed the test. I would really hate for them to pull him out of the running because I think that he could bring whatever his own unique flair is to Star Wars. I feel like they could use a little bit of that, Star Wars is fun and weird in its own, but whatever Taika Waititi is dreaming of, I want to see that.
Sure, I get that. He's a singular. I have some ice in my mouth. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, I stopped talking right at the worst moment possible. But yeah, I'm like, whatever. Which I think that he will do a good job, obviously, of like not taking things too far as well. As we've seen with The Mandalorian, like you can make it funny, you can make it quirky, but you still want it to have like that Star Wars identity. And I think he knows that, like for Thor, right? You still want Thor to be Thor. You just want to make it interesting. And I think after the way that the sequels, episode 7, 8, 9 went, I think people are like, kind of itching for something new and fresh that everyone can kind of agree on, like The Mandalorian.
I mean, again, what I'm itching for is a break, but that's not an option.
You got your break.
I did.
It was approximately 48 hours.
They said we're going on hiatus, like what? November, December?
Yeah.
It has been 4 months. That is not a break made to franchise.
I mean, I guess. Sure. Yeah.
They're going to Disney. I get it. It's going to be fine. They also aired the finale of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. They also aired the season premiere of Disney Gallery: The Mandalorian, which is a show I am looking forward to.
Yeah.
And they confirmed that Robert Rodriguez of, Sin City, Alita Battle Angel, and Spy Kids fame going to, hey, don't knock Spy Kids. That was quality stuff.
I know. No, it was great. That should be really fun.
Actually, I never saw it. But I do like Rodriguez, though.
Okay, fine.
And Mariachi's great. I love that movie. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I apologize if I just kind of feel tired of Star Wars.
No, I totally get it. It kind of seems like they, and I don't even know if it's like pulling the rug from underneath you, but it's like they're like, you know what, this is it. We're gonna take some time to no more Star Wars. You'll never see from us ever again. And they're like, but actually. So I don't know if they did that to like like when you're feeling down, you're like, man, I really wish I get some Star Wars news, and they're like, guess what, we're back.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what type of games they're playing, but I'm just gonna assume for now on that Star Wars is like a never-ending cycle, and it's never gonna go away.
By the way, just on that note, I have a small rant to go on.
Yeah.
The whole idea of Star Wars Day, like Star Wars Celebration, I've seen editorials saying like Star Wars Day means something now. It's not just it's a real holiday and important to people. Like, it's a corporate holiday designed to get you to buy things. You should treat it like that. You can have fun with it. But it's so strange to me how people can look at something that is obviously designed to get them to buy money I'm sure people behind it have good intentions, but at the end of the day, it is a corporate-driven thing, and embrace it as like something sacred. I just want to say that. Happy 4th. Have a good time.
Yeah, well, to me, it's one of those super, super fake holidays. It's fun to be like, hey, let's remember Star Wars things. But I mean, that's it. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna, go to the grocery store and buy a cake and a piñata for it. I don't know why. It does. Well, yesterday was Cinco de Mayo, so that probably would have been the one time you could actually do that. There was a parade out. This is getting off topic. Yeah, sort of a parade. I heard like beeping outside, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I see these pickup trucks, and they're like honking their horns. Everybody's like, yelling and having a good time. They've got like Mexican flags on the back of the truck. I was like, "That's nice. I could use a little bit of a pick me up this evening." So they had an impromptu little Cinco de Mayo parade.
Should there be parades right now? Doesn't that feel a little?
Well, no. Oh, they were all in their cars. So it was like nobody was marching in the street or anything. They were good.
All right, solid. As long as that's the case. I felt like they put on a full festival. I'm like, ooh, that seems like the opposite way we want to do right now.
No.
Okay, so moving on. So we got Star Wars. We got The Last Kingdom. Disney. Oh, I wish that Wick Lab was brought to you by Disney. I will gladly shill them if they sponsor us. So we'll see if that happens. In other news, we are still watching television because there's lots of it on. Mia, let's talk about the season finale of Westworld. Crisis Theory, the season 3 finale. Why don't you start? What do you think of this one? So
I gotta put it. It's a big fat I don't know. And this was the first time throughout the whole season I had watched an episode where I didn't have a screener available, so I didn't get to preview it.
Yeah.
And I was also like live tweeting. So there was a lot of things I caught and a lot of things that I might have missed out on. That being said, I was not spectacularly impressed with how this ended. And I was really heartbroken by that. I think it just kind of, well, not super heartbroken, but I think the whole like super villain thing that we had talked about last week, like, Serac wants world domination, and then Serac makes it seem like Dolores wants world domination. And I think the ideas just got so huge and lofty that it just kind of like blew up. And it was like, what is even the point? That's kind of where I was at.
I have to say, like, I kind of enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Like, there were some moments that hit me. It was like an honest to God, like, oh, that's kind of nice. Like, the episode kind of wrapped up what had been happening all season. So Dolores, this entire time, has been trying to do something to topple society, to give folk freedom. And I still do think it's always like been too general about that. Like, my problem with the show, or like one of them, is that it talks about these like ideas, like you're free now, you have free will, but it never like gives shape to these ideas it's talking about. They're also vague. But I honestly was kind of emotionally affected by when Dolores was having her memories erased, and we got like her in the simulation of Westworld, and she was like the old Dolores, like hopeful and happy and saying that, people can be beautiful and they see the beauty in things. Maybe they can get it by themselves. Like, I was like, oh, Dolores. I also really like the bit after it succeeds, after they shut down the supercomputer, which that's something like all season, like didn't really quite work for me. Like, nice idea, but no. But I like the idea that Maeve says the little, you can do whatever you want here, or a line from the first episode of Westworld. I thought that was cute. So, honestly, I enjoyed it more than most of the episodes this season, because most of them I didn't really feel anything. But these did hit me at a couple of points.
Yeah. I wish that there was a more sort of maybe cohesive or solid plan that Dolores had, because I feel like at multiple parts in the story, we were like, okay, she wants to do this for the host, or she wants a new planet. Or not new planet. Maybe they could have a new planet, new home, basically.
Go all Mormon.
And then in this episode, it's like, no, she actually wanted, what was it? To destroy all of humanity. And then she was like, no, actually, I want to. It was like Serac was like showing Caleb Rehoboam, however you say that. And it was like.
Again, let's make to say it. Horrible name.
Yeah.
Bad name. Hard to say.
Yeah.
Rehoboam.
So he was showing him the supercomputer and the projected outcome of Dolores' plan, and it was like humanity ends or something. But then it was like, no, actually, I don't want humanity to end. I think humans are nice. I did like that, though. I was like, okay, well, that's a good twist. Like she wasn't completely bent on like killing all humans.
I got a little more of that, because like I felt sick from her for a while. Like I really haven't like tapped into, and she was so important to this season. Like I feel like I needed to have a little more sympathy with him. Like I feel like I needed to have a little more sympathy with her, and I never really did.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to play. I do want to rewatch it again, because I feel like I haven't like had this. Okay, there was something about which I guess I just completely missed, where Caleb was like in the military and Dolores was there. Like they were they were being rounded up. Do you know what was going on there?
The military and Dolores was there. Oh yeah. That was Caleb when he was in the military. They were using the hosts as like practice for like they're like civilians, go and save them from the other hosts who are attacking them. So like a military drill of some kind.
Okay, and then Caleb was kind of sense. Like, it makes sense. I guess Caleb had like a heart of gold, because they were like, hey, now let's use these robots, and he's like, no, let's not. And Dolores is like, wow, what a sweetheart. So, I guess I don't know. I will have to go back and watch. I think they left things up in the air with like Serac, whether he's still alive or not.
I hope he is. He doesn't seem like a. I didn't like the way William went out. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Like, I won't spoil it, but my end question is like, if you're going to take him out like that, why bother bringing him back at all? Like, I felt like he had like an arc, and now it's over, and it never really amounted to anything.
Yeah, because he was like, well, I'm going to stop Dolores. And he's been saying that for like 8 episodes. And then when he finally
okay.
yeah, he's like, all right, I'm finally going to do something. And they're like, no, you're not. That's basically how it went.
Henrika says that the redemption of Dolores seemed to just serve viewers who wanted to like her and not well grounded in the story they gave us, which I think is probably true. But I mean, look, I wanted something to hold on to, and I'm so like detached from this show, so I liked it no matter what. So I guess give me the fan service in this case. Overall, though, I don't like Westworld very much.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough watch for me next season because I keep saying it just feels like they veered so far off the path. Like I watched the very first 2 episodes again with my dad this weekend. And it was just like, wow, I remember when they were riding horses and, they were in the little town square and doing all that stuff. So it really has, like, season 3 has developed its own personality. I feel like they might do one of those things where it's like season 4, we're going back to the park. And it's like, ooh, what do they have to get back at the park? Like, I can feel it in my bones. Like, that's going to happen.
Too. Jeffrey Wright as Bernard, just like wasted. Like, why would you hire someone that talented? Because he is so good. He's been in so many good things. And like, all he did was like deliver some stupid exposition and put on a headset. I did like the scene with the with Arnold's wife. I thought that was pretty good.
That was touching, yeah.
But mostly, like, I hope he got paid well because he didn't do like anything.
Yeah. They need to bring him back into the mix. I feel like at the finale of season 3, like they kind of set it up where it was like Dolores was like, I'm going to let you free and I know you're going to stop me. But it was I thought it was going to be like a cat and mouse sort of game. It seems like Bernard never got the chance to even like see Dolores. So it was like she was totally out of his league this season.
I don't think he didn't even once. I mean, it's like some of those phones. Yeah, didn't love it. But, there's other shows out there. Before we go on, a couple of comments. And Jen says, I'm glad I passed on that show. Yeah, I mean, look, some folk do love it a lot. I didn't really like it, but of course, if you're interested, go give it a shot. You've also been saying that you like my faces, Jen. I just make the faces that I have. Let's see what else happens. Finally, we want to talk about a show that I know that you're a big fan of. It's a little off the beaten track. I'm not sure if anybody out there watches it, but the popular animated Adult Swim show Rick and Morty.
Oh, yeah.
In its 4th season, is a sci-fi half-hour comedy that I have really enjoyed sometimes. Like, I've laughed a lot off of this show.
Yeah.
This recent episode, though, oh dear, Never Rick and Morty was very, very metatextual.
Ooh, yeah.
Almost at the point where I was like, it was hard to get your head around.
Yeah.
I liked watching it, though.
It wasn't great. I liked the episode. It was like returned from a 3 or 4 months hiatus after the first 5 episodes. This was episode 6. And people have I've seen Rick and Morty be made fun of where there was this one person on the internet and he was like, to be honest, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Rick and Morty's type of humor. And everybody made fun of him for that. But this episode might be one of those where it's like it does require not a ton of brain work. It's like it's a cartoon, but it kind of takes like one of those like, oh, that's what they mean. And it's really hard to explain what it was about. It's like they were on this train and the train was like a metaphor for like plot structure. So they're like having all these experiences where it's like they're going out of the canon or I don't even know where to begin. They have like a scene where they recreate the Bechtel's test. So yeah, it was a fun episode, but moreover, it was one of those where it was like nothing is like happening that contributes to the overall plot or overarching season story. But it was more
saying
like
that there really is none of those. Because they like had a little offshoot where you kind of saw some things people are wanting to see come to fruition, and they're saying like, did that happen? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
I think they're saying that we don't really care about overarching plots, and it's like making fun of the fans who do. Again, it was like an episode that like made a lot of stuff outside of the show that you had to like know it to get the jokes. Like the whole story is like something that Dan Harmon, the creator, does with a lot of his shows. So again, it was very inside baseball. It was very in-jokey. And I think that's part of the reason why Rick and Morty has such a passionate fan base, because you have to do it makes the show more interesting to watch if you do some homework and then you talk about it with people, and it becomes like your own little private language with it.
Yeah.
But you can also get like up your own butt with that and be like, to enjoy it, you have to like be super, super smart.
Yeah.
Like, no, you just have to like spend a lot of time on Reddit. Those are different things.
Yeah. It made me wonder though, like because I know it was like back in 2018 and they were renewed for like 70 episodes. And so kind of like at the climax of this episode, it was like they were being pushed into a storyline where it was like this was like the most what am I getting? It was like broad appeal. So it was like, this story is going to have all the broad appeal. It's going to, have all the marketability. Yeah. It's going to be, like the number one best, it's get all these like tropes that you see in every single like Star Wars, Marvel, blah, blah, blah. So I wonder if it was like them being kind of like pushed to the edge by, whoever the stakeholders are in their company. They're like, we want you to have this, or we want it to be like Star Wars. And they're like, no, I want it to be Rick and Morty. So it might not be that deep while I'm over here talking about it like it's deep. But I thought it was kind of interesting. Yeah, it's like, can you, live up to people's expectations, or can you just kind of like do your own thing and chill and just let it be what it is?
And I thought it was pretty funny too. Like I laughed when
that too.
He broke their relatability by like bringing in Jesus Christ and do like a very earnest prayer. If we're like, no, that's not sarcastic or cynical enough, we don't want that, and it broke it. It's a fun show. And it's an ambitious show that has a lot in its mind, which I will always appreciate. It does have like this bad reputation in the fan base though, so just hope that doesn't crop up anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I've got good friends who like this, and then you see like some of the other stuff on Reddit who, it's another Star Wars debacle basically.
I mean, we talked about on the Wit Club this past month about the way fandoms can sometimes sort of morph into things that are you don't really want them to be. And I think there are many variations of that across the TV movie spectrum. Maybe we'll talk about them sometime. But for now, Mia. Oh, by the way, the Wit Club, if you want to get into the Wit Club, get extra articles, extra videos, a monthly prize. I'm glad you got your glass, Julie. They are kind of being slow with it because COVID and Australia. But you can buy a Wit Club t-shirt or a Wick t-shirt. We'll put a link somewhere around there on Twitter. And if you want us to answer a question you have and you want to do it ahead of time, feel free to leave us a review on iTunes with a question that we will answer and consider with our brains on Take the Black Live, which airs every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, right around the Winter is Coming Facebook page. Mia, do you have any thoughts before we sign off?
No. Just hope everybody has a good week. I hear you talking about Pickle Rick on the comments. It's funniest thing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, you love Pickle Rick.
But that's all I had for today.
Cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back next week, Wednesday at 4 p.m. right here on the Facebook page. Until then, see ya.